4310, rescue commercial lease request. Report is relatively detailed, but can I ask the CEO to speak to it, please?
Oh, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I wanted to bring this to council because I felt it was a sensitive matter in that our town hall is obviously a community facility. It's a heritage listed building. Once the mayor and CEO departed and moved over to our new premises, the offices here have been vacant. They have been used occasionally by the likes of Outback Futures. I had the CEO of Rescue contact me that they're looking to increase their presence in Barcaldine Regional Council area, providing services to people looking for jobs. They've been given additional funding to help as we come out of COVID, so they want to set up a permanent office and a place where people can come and work on resumes and help with training to help them get jobs. So I felt that that was a very good community use of the offices here, and to also have those services in our region permanently from Rescue is a really positive thing. I also knew that Rescue was being given funding to do this, which was why I asked for a commercial agreement where they paid us some money. So I proposed $250 a week, which they agreed to, which is going to bring us in about $12,000 for the year. So really what I was just wanting endorsement of is that council is comfortable that we use that office space in the town hall for this purpose, and certainly the Barcaldine district manager is being involved and will be the liaison person to ensure that they don't break any of our rules around not smoking near buildings and our security and all of those sorts of things. So yeah, I'm happy that we're getting increased services and we've got another $12,000 income.
Question? Move to Councillor Plum, seconded Councillor Hanson. Questions? In favour? Opposed? 7-0. Correct. Don't know if we've ever asked the Deputy CEO to commence his report after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but we have today.
I'll probably last for many years.
Well, that's right, but I'm used to your new iteration. Can I have somebody, first of all, I better have someone move your report, sorry. Councillor Peoples.
Yeah.
And Councillor Plum. You move to we receive Brett's report. Thank you. All in favour? Carried, 7-0. Questions? Brett, have you got anything you'd like to draw to our attention?
Mr. Mayor, just with the flood monitoring stations, I know Damien's been working with the contractors, but they're having trouble with the radio links. So we have got an extension of 6 months on that funding. So we're not sure. It was going to go back through via Blackhall, but now back to Alpha, is it?
Mr. Mayor, they've actually going through, may even go to an alert system now if this testing doesn't work, where they're going through. They're basically taking it back to come up with another way to set up the range stations, those new ones. So then bring them along then to with Jason Rickson on it as well, with a bit of a plan there as well to get those up and running. But the Jericho flood station one is working now on the Jordan River in Jericho.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Brett, is the Waratah social impact assessment, are they doing that with the community, like as a whole over there? Like are they, like they're not, it's not.
So they've consulted with
who have they consulted with?
6 immediately affected landowners,
Yeah.
4 neighbouring landowners, every business in the main street,
Yeah, so that.
2 road contractors, Queensland Rail, us, like we were part of that process, and then separately with Stephen and, or it's actually, sorry, with Brett and Damien was there every day with them for, 4 days, and then they came out and met directly with Brett, that's the official, so,
Yeah.
yeah, and then, so they've consulted extremely, literally everyone in Alpha's not only talking about the possibility of it, they're talking about the visit they had. So they visited the Tourism Association, they talked with people from Queensland Health, they talked with the community group that represents Queensland Health, what are they known as? CAN? The CAN?
CAN.
Yeah, so they've been very broad with their consultation.
Mr Mayor, they also had a good discussion with the education, the school side of it as well.
That's correct.
Yeah. Just
And Jericho as well too, it wasn't limited to Alpha.
also the Primary Health Centre in Jericho as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
And I guess we could have put an expectation on them to consult even more broadly within the regional council area than that, but we did have a good session with them as councillors, and most of what I saw presented wasn't negative to the communities further away. It's only a matter of harnessing it. So, Gary, comfortable that, they didn't actually travel to Aramac, but the public's reception of it's going to be pretty positive out of that area if there's a job or two to come out of it, Yeah. So I think broadly, consultation's been pretty well done.
I've now moved on to the infrastructure plan. So there's 2 plans have to do the social impact and the infrastructure impact, which is a lot more complicated because that involves the airport, main roads,
Rail, where there's a couple of crossings of the railway line, there'll be a problem.
Thank you.
Councillor R, questions?
No,
Yes.
Mr Mayor.
Please?
No.
I won't take it. Yes, no, plain no. Planning and Development Report 442, somebody move that we receive that, please. Councillor Hanson, seconded Councillor Plum. Those in favour? Carried unanimously.
Mr Mayor, associated with this report is we've now received the draft mapping for our new planning scheme, which will require councillor input.
Yes, substantially.
So
We haven't even talked to town plan as a council yet, have we? Not once. You said a week aside.
I think what we did was flag that it was
coming, it's
project.
big, yeah.
So we will need a planning workshop day.
In August?
No, I think it's more urgent than that.
You were hoping the week after next.
Councillors will diary at the end of this meeting, but
Maybe in 2 weeks.
I'll be away.
I'll look at our diary shortly. I've
We-
got
what-
no visibility of my own
What I
diary.
tend to do is Haley, you haven't said that.
Perhaps later.
So Haley will circulate all the maps. It's probably better if you get a printed copy because I'll be A3. We're happy to provide you with a printed copy. It's too hard to read on those notebooks. But
On these notebooks?
yeah, you will be able to read it, but
The maps would be better, Gary.
it's nice to see a map that's
Can
printed
write
out.
seen you've raised these notebooks. And Big Tin Can, I'm pleased that Councillor Gleeson's sitting here beside me because I'm not on my own anymore. I had trouble with Big Tin Can.
Councillor,
I've got some support.
Councillor Peebles, you need to be careful that the commentary there that someone doesn't take offence. I'll have to sanction
I don't
you.
think he will when we're helping each other all day. But can I ask, Can I ask, can we do something? Can we do something that makes it a bit easier for the likes of me, please? When we get the agenda, can we have like what items apply to 3.4.2 and just have them all together or something, so as when we get to that item, that we can just, it just, when you're trying to have a look for these things while we're in the middle of a meeting and in the middle of a budget, not budget, in the middle of a meeting, by the time I find it, to have a look at it, discussion's over. So for the likes of me, can we have a little bit more assistance?
I reckon, councillor, when we go through a lot of our sessions, one-on-one sessions, we'll flag this, and we might have a bit of an IT day and a bit of how we can compartmentalise it. We may even, something that I've even considered is another temporary screen in here somewhere, another TV up there, so that we can have items that are in the can going over there behind me. You know what I mean? So that if we're looking at a document, we can have our minutes, live minutes still on these screens, but whatever document we might be referring to could be going through over here.
Ideally for me, Mr Mayor, is the agenda. I know it gets a bit bulky, but anything relating to that agenda item, I would like to be attached to that agenda item, in the agenda. But I know that it's a bit bulky.
What we might look at is, and we'll talk to the staff, there might be a way to link so that if you open your agenda, you can click on a hyperlink. It'll take you straight through. Jess is nodding somewhere.
Oh no, I was looking up.
She's committed to start straight up. I love this. But look, yes, Councillor Peebles, let me look at that. Let's look at that. Let's discuss that further.
Thank you.
We can look at the
Planning and Development Report, though, councillors, those maps, when they are circulated, and I know this is a open meeting, those maps will be extremely confidential. They will be some of the most confidential documents you will see in your tenure as a councillor are the new draft planning scheme maps. That is so sensitive in nature. So make sure that they are secured, and the digital, the soft copy and the hard copy must be, and like it's one of the very few things right through the whole Belcara reform, planning stuff is still able to happen behind closed doors for very good reason.
And those are the maps that we already have in Big Tin Can. You're referring to them?
No, those maps for this meeting, that's the maps for the town for rating.
Okay.
It's not zoned.
So we still haven't got them?
No, I don't even have them yet, councillor, so I feel.
Let's send them tomorrow.
Okay.
We'll get some hard copies for you, because realistically you're going to want to see them in hard copy. We'll get you the soft copies as well, but you won't do justice to them. Like, they don't even fit on my iPad. None of them are big enough. Right, 443. No one any questions, eh? I've asked, but I haven't got an answer, so I'm assuming not. Workplace Health and Safety Report.
Mr Mayor, I assume the incident on the 2nd of June is merely in that May report, just as notification? Because everything sort of says that this is the report from May 2020, and then later on, the only incident is the 2nd of June.
Who wants to help?
The health and safety.
It's Mr Mayor.
Report from May 2020, but then goes on to talk specifically and mainly about.
The reports are done up to the day they're written, so sometimes it's half May, half June, half July. So we need to improve the way we do that, because I'm similar to you. Is it a May report? Is it a June report? But it is definitely up to the day that it was written.
Yep.
And that incident's reported in because it is a notifiable incident.
Yeah, I assume because of the nature of the incident, it's flagged.
Yes.
In addition to just a monthly report.
It's a rather ambitious total tally. If anyone looked in our operational plan down to that detail, there's a rather ambitious aspirational goal for a reportable incident. Some deputy manager, Calden's read it anyway, she thinks the same, but it's exactly what it needs to be. You know, it needs to be, and our goal needs to be 0, but it's rather ambitious. Any other? I mean, I don't think you'd be being a responsible employer if you didn't have 0 set there as the target, but if you always live in the real world.
Mr Mayor, it's probably that a target of 10 and we meet or underachieve the target. It's better to have 0 and then unfortunately have 1.
Because if you put anything other than 0, it means you will accept notifiable incidents as pro forma. There's no way around anything other than 0, but I just smiled when I read it.
Through you, Mr Mayor, that was the exact conversation we had when we were setting this.
Fair enough. Very good. No, but those walls over there are paper thin, bear that in mind next time you're discussing me. 4.
Can we have some movers?
Oh, yes.
Movers and shakers.
Moved, Councillor Rogers, seconded, Councillor Plum. Those in favour, 7-0. 4-3. Project report. Can I have, yes, we are only receiving. Can I have somebody move that we receive that? Can you have one, John? Yes. Hanson waived and so did Plum. Yeah.
Which one first?
Hanson. It'll be that.
That's why I wasn't at
Yeah, no, it's a separate unlegal bill. Well, see, once you delete it, it'll disappear.
Accessing attachments and the
And that's your. But yeah, once you delete it from that screen, it drops off that little pop out again. You've got to go back a little to.
Let's discuss this later. Yeah, exactly. Project report has been received. Those in favour? 6-0. Gary? Did you declare an MPI in 445, the code of conduct? You wouldn't have done, no one else did.
I think we had a
Yeah.
COI
Code of conduct too.
Yep.
You too, Rogers?
was it a COI and a vote?
Yes.
I thought we were good with the COI.
Did the vote say stay?
COI
Yeah.
stay for you.
Yeah. And for you.
Yeah, but yes, both leave for
6 and 7.
Yeah, you both can talk something constructive while you're outside for the next one. Brett, Brett, can you, or Stephen, somebody discuss the procedure, please? So, councillors, you were, you were presented this at the last meeting. It has been to the Joint Consultative Committee for feedback.
Correct.
Yes. Can anyone lead us through what has happened as a result of that consultation?
Yep. So these 3 policies were presented last month. They were also circulated with the Joint Consultative Committee via email prior to our meeting. We had a Joint Consultative Committee meeting Monday last week and discussed what their feedback was, remembering that the Consultative Committee can provide any feedback they like, delegates, union members, in relation to policies, but it's still up to our discretion whether we accept what their feedback is. So they tabled a number of questions about the policies. We talked through all of their questions and they were comfortable with our explanation, so there was no need to make any major adjustments or alteration to the 3 policies. There is one minor change to the personal appearance and protection policy, I believe, was the one. Yeah. But the rest are, the JCC were happy with what the policies were, and any questions they had, we were able to explain. So that's the process, which is why it's important that we need to get feedback if you do have any questions about these policies, because effectively, if council was to make any other changes today, we would then have to take them back to the Joint Consultative Committee again before they came back here. So,
Councillor Peoples, you had it wasn't so much a change as a terminology or a wording order. Can you just lead us to the page that you would like to discuss, please? You now, councillors, I seek your forgiveness. Councillor Peoples flagged this with me on Monday, and I tried to give him a commitment, and I tried to follow through that me or somebody would articulate that in writing to councillors to give you consideration beforehand. However, events overtook me and that hasn't happened. And so, Gary, what page in the report?
Page 3, value 1.5, item E.
Just wait a minute, wait till everyone gets there. Right, lead us to where you want.
Maintain the confidentiality of information that is not publicly available.
You had an alternative sort of.
I just think that there's probably a fair bit of information that's not public available, but it's not confidential. And what I think it should be is maintain the confidentiality of confidential information.
CEO, notwithstanding what you just said about taking that back, to my way of thinking, if council was to endorse that, a relatively minor change, provided they approved it, it wouldn't need to be represented, would it? To us, so long as they had no, and once again, as you said, their concerns can be noted but not necessarily followed.
Yeah.
So if council was to make that minor somewhat adjustment.
Mr Mayor, if council was going to do that, I would be 100% transparent and go back to the JCC with this was what happened at the meeting, and this is the minor change that we've made. If they then come back with any feedback,
we bring it back
to the next meeting. So
I'm comfortable with.
I'm comfortable with that. I just think that confidentiality of information that's not public available, that's a lot of information. And I reckon what we're trying to do is just make sure confidential information stays confidential.
Councillor Lords, officers, comments? Now this was flagging last time. We received this policy last month.
I believe all information that isn't public is confidential.
Say that again, please, Brett.
If the information is not publicly available, then it is confidential.
Can I get an example, perhaps, from something else?
Well, I'll just go to Brett's point. So, anything that the public doesn't know about, well, it's hard to explain this. So, how about a scenario like this? We're going to shift from Civica to some other computer program to do our works for us. That's a discussion that's been had by, and this might be a bad example, by a couple of officers, and someone overhears that and says, it's not public knowledge, but someone says we might be going to another company other than Civica. That staff member that heard that, it's not confidential, but it's not public knowledge. But they can be pulled over the coals for possibly repeating that statement. Just little things like that. And is everything confidential, Brett? We're a local government open to the public in all of our meetings, unless we say we're not, then we go into closed session.
So, yeah, while everything in a meeting is publicly available.
There are things that don't come to our meetings, such as addresses and phone numbers from rate cards and property searches and stuff that our officers have access to that we never table in public meetings because we don't want to breach the confidentiality of that.
Again,
That's confidential
that's
information.
confidential information, yeah.
I'm not a lawyer, officers, unless, councillors, we're in your hands. If I've got no objection, but I'm not briefed enough to understand the ramifications of the change, but I think I'm comfortable with it if councillors are. I'm not going to speak in favour or against, I just need a resolution.
And to add to that, Mr Mayor, I'll just go down to page 6 in 4.3, item E, and this is for after someone has left our employment, respect the confidentiality of confidential information after employment with council.
It says official on mine.
Sorry?
It says respect the confidentiality of official information after employment with council in my policy.
Yes.
You said confidential.
No, that's what I've changed to, mate.
Oh.
Of official information after employment with council is what I take out. And again, I put confidential information. But you managers tell me
Well, Mr Mayor,
where do you see the problem?
the wording is taken out of the existing policy. That's been the policy since 2009, and I've just repeated it. So I suppose it's whatever the definition is of confidential information as opposed to not publicly available information. It's whose interpretation is it, or whether it's confidential information. Ultimately, it's the CEO. So. Just trying to think on the spot what the difference would be, but that wording about being publicly available is straight out of the existing policy, the existing code of conduct that's been in existence for March 11 years. So the other thing is that this is a principles-based code of conduct. It's not prescriptive, so it's really about interpreting the spirit of the policy. So if there was a breach of that clause, then it would be an interpretation by the CEO of whether that person has breached the spirit of the policy. So I'm happy if you want to change it to confidential, because to me confidential means it's not publicly available anyway.
So we're only just agreeing here using different terminology. Can I have, councillor, are you moving that we adopt a policy with an amendment to page 3, 15, value 15E, we're changing that clause?
Yep.
I'm not hearing howls of protest, so I'm going to go this way for a start. Councillors, well, hang on, before I do that, are we in favour of the amendment going to maintain the confidentiality of confidential information?
I'm not, Mr Mayor, I'm not a lawyer. I can't really understand the difference in what's written and what's Gary saying. I'm sorry.
I'm struggling too, but Gary Councillor Peoples, Deputy CEO, is an option here to go with both. Maintain the confidentiality of confidential information that is not publicly available, and it is that minor a change then You know what I mean? We're actually just inserting a word.
Yeah.
Councillor Peebles?
Yeah, that's okay.
Deputy CEO? Councillors? Be able to get a job, negotiated marriage settlement shortly. Value 1.5E. Insert. Do you want to put the whole clause in, Hayley, or just the insertion? Confidential. Following of. Moved Councillor Peebles, seconded. Councillor Hanson. Discussion? All in favour? Carried, 7-0.
And
See you later, Gary. Oh, no, sorry.
the,
Oh, I missed, hang on, sorry,
all
councillors.
in one motion.
Page 4, I mean.
Page 6.
Yeah.
Hold the phone on this then, so you want to, councillors, you've got a problem with changing respect the confidentiality of official information after employment with council to reading respect the confidentiality of the same thing, confidential information.
Yeah.
We're changing official to confidential. Or do you want to do the same thing again? Confidential official information.
No, just put the confidential.
Substituting official to confidential. Councillor Peebles and Hanson, you moved and seconded that. Are we comfortable with back amending that motion?
Yes, I am.
Are those who voted in favour still in favour? Yeah. Close the shouting first round, councillor. All right, now you do have to leave. Rogers and Peebles. Four, 6. Can I have somebody move, please? Oh, hang on. Deputy COCO, lead us through the changes or the discussion around IT policy, please.
Mr Mayor, not really. There wasn't, with the IT policy, there wasn't really any major issues. It was more around the mobile phones and council supplying mobile phones and the damage of those phones and so on. But, you know, we're not prepared to change the policy or, have any different stance to what we currently have.
So, just to be clear, under Section 2, hardware mobile phones, and under Section 5, private use for private mobile phones in the workplace and vehicles or planned, that is a no change from our current situation. Is that correct?
Correct.
Right. Councillors,
There was
issue?
also Mr Mayor, there's the issue of
Data.
data on private mobile phones. We have in there that it's a public record. There was some dispute about that.
Public record for elected officials, so I can't see the difference. Can I have somebody move that we adopt that policy? Councillor Flood, question? Most definitely.
We inserted some GPSs into some cars. Should that come under this sort of thing or
No.
for a later moment?
That deals with other sections of HR because they're council cars, so our insertion of that doesn't interfere with the person, like in a private employee use or. Yeah. Now, someone was going to move this for me. Councillor Arthur, seconded Councillor Gleeson. Those in favour, carried 5-0. 447. Somebody lead me through the changes here, if there is any, after the meeting with the JCC.
There was a dollar value that was in.
Well, the main talk was around
Councillor Plum Can you chair the meeting, please, for 30 seconds?
So, Councillor Plump, at item 4 with the internal, actually, we've got 2 4s there.
Yes, there is.
Maybe it should be item 5, item 4, the second item 4, which is really
External.
item 5. It did have an amount of $500, and that has been changed to reasonable cost instead of a set dollar limit. There was, the JCC did raise that as an issue.
So do we have any other questions?
We all good, councillor?
Yeah, we'll just see if there's any other questions on.
Okay.
on the-
Somebody please move the policy then. Move Councillor Plum, seconded Councillor Hanson. Those in favour? Carried. 5-0. Melinda. There's no fourth. We'll wait for Councillor Archie. Thank you for deputising as acting deputy mayor.
That's a long time. Thank God you come back.
You heard more play, Councillor. I won't close discussion on the report. Can I have somebody please move that we received the financial report? Maybe Councillor Plum, second Councillor Gleeson. Questions? Brett, would you like to draw anything to our attention?
Only the rates are due on Friday. You know if anyone who hasn't paid their rates?
Probably me.
4:30 Friday.
So, has the federal government announced fags in advance again? Has that been received? Thank you. Is that in the 4,025,000? For capital revenue, grants and subsidies? Or is that in the 10 million?
10 million.
In the 10,045,000, that's got two lots of capital.
Well, it hasn't, because we didn't get, last year's was paid half in advance as well, so we're
Effectively, we've only
only got
got
one allocation
Okay.
this year.
Councillor.
Gary. Had a look at on video, Oh, I've just been shouting councillors' names out here for the last half an hour. It looked great on video tonight. Councillor Peoples, we have moved to receive the financial report in your absence, but we have not closed discussion on it. So if you have any questions, we're just discussing. Deputy CEO has just informed us that the federal government announced that fags in advance, that's been received, the half-year payment. That's in the figure of 10,045,000. That is listed. However, that means that for the year that we're currently in, we've actually only received a single year allocation, because we had half of this year paid last year. So we received our half this year, and we've now got half of next year in advance, if that makes sense. And that's on page 70, would be about 73 of your agenda. 75 on 4 or whatever.
I'm fine with all that, Mr Mayor, but I apologise for being a bit tardy getting back here, but the personal appearance policy's been moved in March.
You had an MPI. You declared an MPI. The Council of Peoples, there was an issue that you raised about not being able to wear the uniform to and from work.
Yes.
but it's not that. You've misinterpreted the clause.
Right.
The council uniform must not be worn when not performing council work. Okay, so when you're not doing council work, you can't do it. For the purpose of this clause, council work includes travelling to and from work.
Okay.
I actually handed the meeting over to somebody else to chair to go looking for you to explain that to you while you're out of the room. So you had raised that as an issue before you realised an MPI in that with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to address it directly, and I'm pretty confident that the policy as it's presented doesn't preclude officers or staff or councillors from wearing our uniforms to and from council functions.
And I didn't declare an MPI, but I think the councillors at council functions.
We're covered by different policy to a certain extent. We are definitely, actually. This is specifically only for council employees.
Right, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
You wouldn't have had to declare an MPI in that.
Through you,
Finances,
Mr.
back to
Mayor,
this.
sorry, yes, finance report. Page 77, it's more of a clarification. In the little graph where we've got current 30-day, 60 and 90-day, the major items on the right-hand side, it makes no real difference. The dollar values are still there. But are they in the right categories for being overdue? Because major items, the heading has dropped down. So I don't know whether they should be current 30 and 60 or 30, 60, 90.
I don't think they relate to that. They're just a separate list. Don't try to relate it to the 30, 60, 90.
Okay.
Just flagging the major items.
It's a separate box.
Right, okay.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, it's just that when I look at the graph and it has something on the
Yeah,
left-hand
yeah,
side, I follow it through that.
Developed. There being no more questions on finance, can I now please move to the Welsh report 461? Do I have a quorum left here? Yes, I should have just.
I've only got goal 5. Shall I go or?
We can get to receive your report today. 461, can I have somebody move that we received the report? No, you only got an MPI and goal 5.
Yeah.
It's fine. Moved councillor Gleeson, seconded councillor Hanson. Rick, anything you would like to draw our attention to in your report?
Except for goal 5.
You don't prefer to go on 5?
Mr Mayor, goal 2 in the freedom of choice parks, the deputy CEO advised me that the bloke who's doing the Wi-Fi is back in the country, serving out his quarantine in Brisbane at the moment, halfway through, so he'll be back on deck shortly.
So I apparently released a press release today that said the freedom of choice parks have dump points in them. Can somebody correct me? We do not have dump points in the freedom of choice parks, do we? No, I didn't think so.
I was supposed to.
So it was the state government who released this on my behalf, so they would go back to the initial scope of works. Right, thank you. Any other questions for Rick on that? Goal 2 or 3 or 4? If further works are being undertaken with water and carbon, or carbon and water, whichever way it is today.
Water and carbon, Mr Mayor.
Right. I told them that they need to change their name, but we all get it wrong. So there's still some more work being done.
Yes, their schedule will come out, Mr Mayor, on the week starting the 13th of July. Do the next round of looking at sewage treatment plants.
They impressed, they were presented quite well in Brisbane when we met with them. They very, very sound knowledge of their brief. Very good. Questions, councillors, before I go to goal 5?
Just through you, Mr. Mayor, actually I think it was mentioned on one of the previous ones, I think of it, that we've received one of our initial reports from Water and Carbon.
That mob, yeah.
Yeah, When it says council has received it, that means the council office is not us so much.
It was presented to, that was the report we presented to council at that,
In the
project
project
day.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We have a more detailed report,
Yeah.
but that was the PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, okay, yep. Now, yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, that jogged my memory. Now, say that.
You haven't seen that?
Hard copy to my knowledge, Mr. Mayor.
CEO, is that the problem with councillors receiving that report?
Just, yeah, we have to make sure it's the most up to
Yeah,
date.
there's it
There's
changes
huge
all the
versions.
time.
Yeah, right.
You've certainly seen the content of this, as in the output pictures like that. We definitely had that on the screen here,
Yeah, right.
which showed the options for
Oh,
agricultural
yes,
reuse.
yes, that does ring the bell, yes.
Yeah.
So we'll distribute
That's not a
the
conflict.
latest version, because we've got, what are we up to now, option E? Yeah, so we'll distribute the latest version.
We would need to consider fully those reports before we made final decisions around expenditure. You know, we budgeted to do it, it's big dollars, so those reports will be the background reports to all of that. No more questions? Councillor Gleeson, yes, you do have one.
Mr Mayor, and Rick, Aramac Showgrounds Amenities Building, I don't know if that's the right question or whatever, but we've already passed in our budget, haven't we, to spend $400 and something thousand on that, whatever.
Yeah, that's correct.
We have, with the Aramac Showgrounds Amenities Building, there was already one lot of, it'd be engineers' costs, wouldn't it? One lot of engineers' costs for the planning of the first building. Now there's more planning. Is that costing of those two engineering quotes, is that in the 420 or is that over and above?
It will have to be in the new budget, yes,
It would have to be in that 420, right?
if there's any changes.
So, I did get a briefing note, community consultation on that. The feedback was sought for from a couple of users, or two predominant users. And Rick, that's been fed into design, like the companies that are going to quote on this, is that right?
We've got to take those comments we've received back that Paul gathered.
Yep.
And then,
See what they can do.
yeah, work out which way we're going to go first and then go through it.
What's your time frame, you think, on that? 6 weeks before we get another report? Options?
I'd like to bring it, depending on what you want to do, Mr Mayor, whether we bring it back to council for final kick-off before we go to tender. If it's changed substantially, I think we have to do that. If the changes are only minor, then we'll just push back.
Let's have a look at what comes back at, and the councillors can discuss it out of session.
Thank you. We did, Mr Mayor, on that project, informally approach a company, a local buy company, so we can approach them directly, to ask them for a quote to design and construct, and they basically said no, they wouldn't be interested.
So they had to have a designed building.
No, they just, they looked at our budget. I gave them a budget, and they said they couldn't do it for that price, so, yeah.
So we might have to put it out, and then we might have to reallocate our brand new budget somewhere in the first 6 weeks of it being handed down.
So, we just thought that might be an easy option, because then you wouldn't have any more design fees, because it's all design and construct. Just, we give them the plans we've already got, come back with the design, the price, but, they just said no.
Rick, did the others be interested though? Brett's talked for one, and you
Yes,
want
Mr
one.
Mayor.
Heaps.
And that company did say that they weren't, there were other companies that would do it less expensive than they were.
Right, so they're high end.
That's
Well,
a
they
multi-show
advise that they're high end.
All right, further? Tom? Paul? Goal 5.
I move in, go.
Yes, you were, I was gonna say that.
All right, I didn't even.
I extended some leeway because I was aware of the councillor's MPI and it wasn't Aramac. Does anyone want to discuss
The other part of
the other part of 5? Look, we've progressed and very cognizant of the fact we're in open meetings, but we have progressed further. Very high level conversations. Now it's impossible to get any higher level conversations than we've had about securing water for the rec park. Councillor Hanson had the fortunate position of being able to drive the bus, so we can attest to today's representation. CEO's been with me on others. I actually sense from all of the senior people I've spoken to a willingness to get it done. The Premier is excited. You notice that she walked over there to get a picture, like to physically look at the picture of it. So there's a very real interest. I openly said to the DG that can't get water, it'll cost us about 60 grand to flatten something that costs 2 million to build. It's that simple. Well, probably be a bit more than 50 grand, but it'd be just a straight waste of taxpayers' money, ratepayers' money, the whole lot. It needs water. I didn't say that to the Premier, but I did to the DG. So I think we realistically need to accept that the government now is looking at it, they're aware of the sensitivities, and let's just hope that in time, in very short order, so that we can have some water in it by summer. Any further? Being none, we'll go to 462 now. Somebody's got an MPI in this.
I have for the next 3.
Oh, maybe. I didn't get that. Oh, tenders.
Yeah, 2 tenders and.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I'm looking in the wrong column. Sorry. So they can bring all them back in by the way.
What have you done?
Our engineering report.
What? They can't most of them come back?
They
Well,
can
they have
all
to.
come back and then they leave again for the, because we've got the Queensland Disaster Resilience first and then the tenders.
Hasn't Beck got to stay out?
It's the rec.
Yeah, she's got it. She didn't declare it as an MPI though. Councillor Plum, can I just draw to your attention that 4.6.2, this agenda item deals with a flood mitigation levy for the Barcaldine Rec Park. Are you comfortable with your presence here?
No.
Sorry?
No. I looked at this one too because
On what basis?
I went out, like I haven't got anything to do with that, but that by the time this even happens, Darryl won't be working for Ken Ford anymore. That's why I decided that it wasn't an issue. You know what I mean?
Councillor, I've got no issue at all. I just, the forthright nature of where you explain it.
Yeah, so I thought, we've got to do it, like we haven't got a choice, we have to do the flood mitigation, so.
Well, we're now starting to
that's
delve
how
into
I-
discussion on it, councillor. Can I just go back to this councillor here? What are you doing, councillor Plum? Are you declaring an MPI in item 4.6.2 due to your relationship of an individual who may be affected by this? Section 175. Thank you very much, councillor Plum. You may recall. Yeah. Don't know if it's proper for the mayor to do the declarations on the councillor's behalf, but I just did.
Well, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Payment for being the acting mayor for 10 seconds.
Mr Mayor, I've declared an MPI on, this is part to do with the levy bank.
462, that's all it's to do with.
Yeah. I declared an MPI previously because I had supplied some gear for the rec park, which has not been supplied and it has come back to me. So at this stage I have done no dealings with the rec park.
So you haven't declared an MPI, you don't feel
I haven't
need to?
declared an MPI, but if officers got any issues, Stephen, are you okay with that?
Councillor Peoples, I'd just be very clear whether you have or haven't supplied any other materials for that project. And again, I can't, it's not my job to say whether you have or haven't, it's your business and Yeah, but I think you need to be careful around.
Mr Mayor, on that advice, it seems like that I must have provided some gear for the rec park. So if that is the case, I'll declare an MPIT. And I
What can you say? Oh, it doesn't matter, it's what you're on. Right, councillors, the report is detailed. There's a fund out there. Flood mitigation is part of eligible criteria. CEO is recommending that has already submitted a funding application due to time constraints. Can I have a resolution that endorses that decision, please? Councillor Hanson. Seconded. Councillor Gleeson. Has discussion? There being none, those in favour? Carried 4-0, for which we're in Kinley with both sizes of this show. Bring them back.
Oh, hang on.
Hold up, hold up. They can't all come back.
I'm out. Arthur stays out.
Plum and Peoples can come back. I hope we can become good friends, us three.
Oh no, yeah, so Roger's.
We're the only ones left in the room here for a while. Councillors, we're now at agenda item 4.6.3, which is the decision to award tender to Michael Horman Transport for the sum of $1,327,253.57 for the Torrens Creek Aramac Road rehabilitation. Do you believe the report speaks for itself? Tender is a conforming and the lowest priced tender. Yes, I think we should start those words in the resolution. So it is the lowest on the basis, it's the lowest price conforming tender. For a sum of $1,327,000 GST exclusive on the basis of it being the lowest price conforming tender.
how many tenders were there?
5. There was a range of prices from $1,327,000 to $3,579,000 price. Councillor Beatles.
I'll move the motion, please, Mr Mayor.
Well, that's very good of you to clarify that, Councillor Beatles. Thank you. You're pointing like there was mistakes. Councillor Plum's happy to second that motion. All in favour? The motion is carried 5-0. Isn't it funny we can move $1 million resolutions in less than a minute? Well reported, Chief Engineer.
So, Mr Mayor, on the other side of this,
Small business getting a hand, Mr Mayor.
it's the group's recommendation that we go with this price, like.
The recommendation is, as it stands, it was submitted by the officer was Rick Rolfe, and that is his recommendation. We go to item 4.6.4. Councillors, your recommendation from the same officer is that we received the report. There were 9 conforming tenders with 1 alternative. This tender is the lowest conforming tender. They ranged in price from $817,000 to $3,154,000.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, how can there be such a huge...
Broad variety of quotes. There's 9 conforming tenders there, some people, and 1 other option. This one conformed with the tender, and yes, there was a broad variety, but a local tenderer has happened to submit the lowest conforming one, so to me it's a very straightforward decision. Councillor Gleeson moves, Councillor Hanson has seconded. Those in favour? Carried unanimously, 5-0. Let's bring them all back in. On the home straight. We're burnt some flood damage up, we had to spend all that. We would have burnt some flood damage money up, 3 million. Right, can I, somebody please move that we receive Damien's information report? Moved one, seconded Councillor Henson. Carried. All in favour? Carried. Questions, Damien, anything you would like to draw to our attention?
No, Mr Mayor.
Good numbers coming through the dip again.
Yes, Mr Mayor, we've also got more numbers that have been booked in this week as well.
Good.
Big numbers going through. Probably the only other thing I can raise is just we've got all their projects underway to finish, hopefully before the end of this few days. So everything's in progress there with the new bill. I just got an email before the cemeteries at Pine Hill has been completed with the plaques on the rock there before. Excellent. Which has been done by the local members that have been involved in that project.
Excellent. Stephen, we'll have to look towards an opening of that facility. Invite the former Deputy Mayor to come down. The Tourism Association and the local components. So some will be a good news story. Well done, Damien. Very well done. Questions, officers, of the Office of Councillors? Can I, someone move 4.8. Oh, hang on. Did someone declare an MPI? Councillor Hicks. 4.8.1. Someone move the report, please. Councillor, can you give me an idea of what section? Because this is an area where you live. Can you tell me which area? We won't discuss it. You can stay in the room for the rest of the report.
Freedom Park.
Oh, well, no one talk about the Freedom Park. It's in the corner over there, so you're close to the door.
And the council pollution block too, is it up there at the showgrounds? Is that in there before?
No, I haven't put it on.
Right, so moved Councillor who? He didn't have to take me seriously, but he has. Councillor Plum. Councillor Plum, seconded. Councillor Rogers. Discussion, all in favour? Carried 6-0. He did actually leave at 4:17. Can I have, I know it says the CEO's granted permission, but Paula, can you give us some feedback or information on the Loud Shirt Day?
So we had a local family last year be involved in Loud Shirt Day, which is a Hear and Say project. So the little girl that was 5 at the time was born deaf, so she's had a cochlear ear implant. So we just, well, the family approached us, they organised everything. We just had a barbecue on the lawn for them. So yeah, just the whole community got together and yeah, it was excellent day. Everyone bought shirts and yeah, it's really cool. So DM from Mark Holden actually asked if they could join in this year, so we asked the CEO and yeah, he's ready as a permission.
And to you, Mr. Mayor, I would like to say that that is actually an organisation that is close to my heart because I have a niece and a nephew who have cochlear implants, both gone through the Hear and Say Centre. My niece is now 29 and my nephew lives here in Mark Holden. He has a single implant and my niece has a double implant. So it is a very good cause, so.
You think a better cause is the Alpha Jericho District joining in?
Yes, we are, Mr Mayor. We've actually got the, Sinead was involved in the one last year at Aramac.
Okay.
And we've also got the orders around, and I've even been discussing with the local schools and that and getting them all on board too, so.
Stephen, this is a wonderful initiative. It's great to hear, obviously the local connections, but of the passion that Ian's showing. We better make something of this with Angela and promote what council is helping facilitate the community. That's wonderful. I wasn't aware of the depth of the background there, so well done, District Managers. And Stephen?
Mr Mayor, with this, is it a fundraiser? Do we buy a shirt or how can we get the funding to you?
Yes, so I can send you an email with the order form and everything on there if you like, if you haven't already got it.
So will the staff be able to wear their Loud shirts on this day?
Yeah.
You authorise.
So can they And they'll be able to purchase them to,
I'd suggest that what could be in order was a fine a lot dearer than the shirt for any councillor who doesn't buy one, but that's just my thoughts. I can't wait to see one for you there.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we could reverse that and amend where the ladies' shirts and.
Well, possibly.
Interesting.
There is
There's another name for
there's a
that, councillor.
cap. So,
Hats as well.
yeah, caps, there's caps as well as shirts.
Great. All right, so,
Sorry, through you, Mr Mayor, is there a cut-off for the ordering?
Yeah, I think it's,
I didn't see it in,
24th of July, yeah. It's on the order form, I think.
oh, it's on the order form, yeah, right, no, I just didn't see it in the body of the email.
Yeah, it's on the actual form.
have we?
Yeah, I sent it to all staff.
Yeah,
And
we've got-
councils, yeah.
can you resend it again, please, Paul? Thank you.
Anything further? Paul, from you?
Just an update on I've had a, offer on 30 Porter Street, so hopefully that'll go ahead. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's really good. And we finally got some correspondence from Community Housing, Department of Public Housing, about all the ones we want to purchase. So just have to go through and get market values for those first, is the first step. And then, yeah, submit that to them and hopefully we'll be able to purchase them, hopefully.
And we, I should know because it's only 2 hours ago we adopted the budget, but we did allocate a figure to that this year, did we not? 200. 200, yes, good, very good. Tom?
Mr Mayor, while we were talking about Aramac and Muttaburra the other day, we went over to Muttaburra and in the discussion was about council employment in Muttaburra. We were wondering, talking, thinking, and I was going to suggest it anyway, but to advertise jobs, see if we can advertise jobs a little bit differently, just sort of a little bit out of the long ballpark, because over there we're looking for, they want a part-time tourist person, and we want a full-time person, gardener, whatever. There's lots of jobs over there, and we feel that the other day we were talking about it, and I just want to bring it up now while we were talking about Muttaburra, to see if we can advertise jobs differently. Over, especially in that little town over there. There's we need kids to go to school. There's houses over there that are empty. There's the husband and wife jobs. If we can just advertise those things a little different, it'd be good. And the other thing, in the budget, we budgeted for, they were asking over there about cleaning, and we're going to get a letter. The council was going to receive a letter from that organisation over there about planting trees. Well, I think we're covering that up with the tree allocation. So that'll be covered. Thank you.
Come. No more questions? Okay, Councillor Peoples can return. Debt recovery now, please.
Okay, so I'm talking about something there.
Mr. Mayor, with the list of outstanding debts, there's a number of long outstanding debts. Where it's got yes, they're the ones we're asking for council to write off. Where it's got no, we will continue to pursue those.
Well, on the outset, Council, I would advise that I'm opposed to writing off the $20,000 to GBK. That is a pre-existing development application. If they ever proceed to advance, they will require approval from us. And I would think of nothing greater than to be able to say, well, we won't consider anything if you pay your debt. You're in debt to us for $20,000. They're a company that could go broke and they could not, but at this point in time, I think that's costing us nothing to leave it on the books. So without visibility of any of the rest of them, I definitely think that the $20,000 debt to GBK needs to be maintained. Unless officers wish to give me a reason as to why I should consider that, I would like to suggest that we amend that on deleting GBK Coal from that list. There being no reason, GBK Coal is gone. I'm happy for someone to move and deal with the rest of it.
Can I ask a question, please, Mr Mayor?
Yes, Councillor.
Down the bottom here, you've got the no's, Stephen, with regards to Stockman's Hall of Fame and...
Yeah, they're not being, sorry, that was what Brett was just saying, that anything with no in that right-hand column is not being written off through this. They're outstanding debts that they're not writing off.
But we're still pursuing.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
I'm suggesting GBK goes from a yes to a no. You know what I mean? Councillors?
I just, you've got couple of big rents there that you're going to write off. Are they still in those houses or?
No, they're not in the houses, but I would probably like to pursue some of those, just because they really should pay them.
What action's been undertaken here, council officers, so far?
Mr Mayor, we've just been sending reminder notices. It's fine.
No. I thought we had mediation, didn't we have, with one of those outstanding rents? You attended a phone look up and...
Yeah, so that, one of the highest rent ones there, we went through evicting him and everything, and I thought rent recovery was part of that process, and apparently it's not.
Officers, do you want to make any further amendments to this or defer the debt recovery request to the July meeting for you to tidy that list up somewhat?
Well, Mr Mayor, I've got several questions. Again, things like the rent and the private works, do we keep a reminder to say that we don't rent to those persons again or don't do private works based on the fact that
they haven't
didn't pay their bill last time?
I don't know the answer.
Yes.
Do we? We do? Yeah. Right. Officers, what do you want to do? Do you want us to go into closed session, go through this list one by one, pull people out? Or would you like to represent the list in a month's time? Councillors, can I have a resolution to defer item 4.8.2 to the July meeting? Move Councillor Peoples, second to Councillor Plum. All in favour? 7-0. So Haley, catch up. Yeah. Yep. Four point 8.3. Councillors, has everybody read the supporting information here? Councillors, I will move that, that was People's Plum. Is that right, Jess? Is that what I said?
I didn't catch that, sorry.
People's Plum. 7-0. I'm happy to move this. I have looked into this in detail. I've read the detailed report from the district manager. I'm aware of the situation. It's straightforward. I don't have a problem with this at all. Moved Councillor Dillon, seconded Councillor Rogers it was. Discussion? No. Those in favour? Carried unanimously, 7-0. Paula, thank you for the background information and all the letters that have made decision on that very easy. 491. Can somebody move that we receive Jenny's report, please? Councillor Gleeson, seconded Councillor Rogers. In favour? 7-0. As always, Jenny, comprehensive report. Anything you'd like to draw to our attention?
No, nothing specific. I guess the only thing, and it's coming up more and more, is the caravan dump point. The only one outside of commercial caravans parks is at our showground.
And it's shut.
Yeah. So that's probably the only thing that is probably the most. Well, we haven't had too many. We've just told them there's not one available. We had a local that we let into doing a dump from their caravan yesterday. They must have been away somewhere in the house. But yeah, it was a concerned business owner. I guess his more concern was that we haven't opened the showroom for camping facility.
Is there, Mr Mayor, an option or a possibility to, I know we still want to restrict camping at the showgrounds, but to physically open that to vehicles and so they can use the dump point, but either have messaging out on the highway to say that there's no camping, so the campers don't go in there, but every other resident isn't.
Dan, Councillor, I agree with you totally. We're actually signed all around town as an RV friendly town and so forth, and if we haven't got dump points publicly available, then we're going to jeopardise that. So would it be in order perhaps for officers to consider what we can do, whether it's signage to access our current spot, develop a new location, what the costs are? Can we have a look at that over the next month and come back to us with some options?
Yes, certainly, Mr Mayor. But we've, I was just speaking with Deputy CEO, we have noticed that the caravans are driving around and around the showgrounds trying to get in, even though we've got signage and so on. The decision was made to support the commercial parks, and we just have a fear that if we open the gates, how do we keep the caravanners out? We've had caravanners pull up in the showgrounds car park overnight, so it is a tough one to be RV friendly, but support the caravan parks and let the community use the facilities over there.
A former head gardener of the Rockhampton City Council, a bloke by the name of Tom White, sprayed a few parks in Rockhampton with sugar. The attraction of ants soon necessitated the occupants to move.
That does sound like you, Mr Mayor. My dealings with it, yeah.
So, anyway.
So we can explore options and come back.
Thank you. Jenny, anything further you'd like to draw us up?
No, there's nothing else.
Thank you. Can I have some questions? Any further?
Just to clarify, and it's only a naming thing. So the Silver Lining School is our school that's at the Spell Squash Court. Is that correct, Mr Mayor?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. And the Dreamtime Centre is the Tom Mottell's shop sort of thing. Yeah. No. Just
yes.
Yeah, just so I can get a reference.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
No. It's probably common public knowledge, but it's gone in one ear and out the other at some stage. Yeah.
Councillors, 492, CEO, would you like to lead through this, please?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So yes, there were three people have put in expressions of interest for the old Visitor Information Centre. Our officer's recommendation is that you endorse the CEO to obtain the best outcome for the community. But I'm 100% comfortable with, if you want to make a decision based on the I just felt that it removes any conflicts and anyone criticising council for favouring someone, or so I'm really in your hands with whatever your decision will be. I'm comfortable with it.
Mr Mayor, I'm happy to move that we accept the officer's recommendation.
That's your...
I'll second that.
Right. Move Rogers, second Peoples. I'm just going to hold though. No, it's late. Councillor's happy with this. Councillor Gleeson.
Mr Mayor, I understand what you're saying, what the CEO is saying, that you want to put all the responsibility back onto yourself. That's what you're saying. You're taking the whole responsibility.
If that's what council wants.
Yeah. Is that what we're here for, to put all the responsibility on you?
Yeah.
I don't believe it's fair. We're here to represent, to put all the responsibility back on one person.
3 minutes and we're all quite willing to discuss the matter and make a decision as a council.
Yeah, that's fine. We can discuss it and still move towards this resolution. To facilitate a discussion at the end of it, we're no closer to a conclusion. Bear in mind there's 3 the better outcome may better the discussion be to defer to the CEO. The councillors are going to be one, then I'm also happy for that to be the outcome. But I'm happy to facilitate an arrangement, a discussion between us here, and even if that further guides the CEO in negotiations. So, Councillor Peebles, did you have a quick comment?
Mr Mayor, I'm just passing the responsibility to the CEO because I don't have any knowledge of the people there really that are applying.
Okay.
So that's my stance on it.
Other councillors?
I've probably got a COI here.
Councillor, I was waiting for you. I actually think you have an NPI, if we decided.
Oh, yeah.
You want to, I think probably either way on this resolution, given the background material,
Yeah.
would be prudent for a councillor to consider her decision. Are you declaring an NPI on the basis of your employment with elders under section 175B?
Yeah, that's one.
Thank you, Councillor Plum. You may retire. Yeah. So, options here, we make a decision today, we form a panel. Councillors, we're enjoying this discussion is open. 3 tenders there, 3 expressions of interest, I should say.
I'll go first, Mr Mayor.
Yes?
I've had a look at them and sort of, the first business isn't going to leave town if he doesn't get a building. The second business will possibly lose 2 young couple or a young couple from town if they've got to stay operating out of their house. And the third one, I would not like to comment any further than that. But my choice would be hairdressing. I'll be straightforward with that. I don't think we need any more food outlets in Barclay with the Heritage Centre building a new coffee shop as well at the moment. And the other ones that are in town doing food and coffees and whatnot. So, yeah, my way of thinking is the hairdressers.
So, Councillor Gleeson?
I don't believe that we need another coffee shop because, yes, there is another one getting built and there's 2 bakeries and there's enough coffee shops in that in town. I don't believe we need another coffee shop. If I was going to vote, I'd vote for GDL, and I don't use it as an agent. Point blank.
Councillor Ms. Bean, Councillor Arthur?
From a financial point of view, GDL have offered the higher per annum return. Based purely on that, I will lean that one.
Councillor Peebles?
I'm happy to stick with
Let someone else
the
sort it out.
endorsement of the CEO. Yet, like I said, I don't know too much about these 3 of them.
Councillor Rogers?
Because I don't know enough about any of the background details, like I'd purely have to go on what we were making the most profit out of, which would be the first one, which may not actually be the best, fit. Like, I'm not sure how in depth Stephen has gone into this, so I'm still like, I would still prefer.
What if we delegate?
Yeah.
What if we did, the Deputy CEO suggested that we delegate the CEO and a panel of councillors to assess these and whatever you want to do?
If Councillor Rogers is okay, I'm happy to withdraw my seconding of her motion and go with something different there along those lines, Mr Mayor.
Councillors? Do you want to make the decision today, or do you want to investigate these a little bit more? I mean, Councillor Hanson's uncovered information in that's not privy to this, around employment and what's the community's best interest. The other, I think realistically, these tenancy arrangements, if council's entering into something, we need to enter into what is financially in the best interest of council, but there's consideration along the lines of Councillor Hanson maybe comes into it, but that would be easier done in this room than it would be if it was delegated to the CEO, because the CEO's job is to protect the financial interests of council. Community tests are for this room, not the CEO. So if you go with the CEO, you know you're going to get what's the financially best interest. If you make the decision yourself, it'll be whatever you want it to be.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm quite happy to let the CEO make the decision now. My opinion's been heard, and I don't think I need to go any further with that.
Councillors? There we go. We've had a discussion. Do you want to decide? Do you want to move to decide or move to delegate now that we've had the discussion?
No, Mr. Mayor, I think we've had a discussion, and I think that we'd be sort of split anyway. I don't know whether we'd have I'm going to say a true indication, but I think we have got a true indication of how we feel, but the numbers wouldn't be good enough. I don't, would be split too much. So therefore, I would have to go back and.
Well, we only split between two. Mary. But yes, happy to, if that's the recommendation, councillors, we go with endorsing the CEO to obtain the best outcome for the community and council.
I'm happy to make a decision.
So am I. I don't care. Which way do you want to go?
I'll make a decision. I just said it right from the start, but we'll make a decision. We'll make a decision.
Let's do it right now.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
You'll have to withdraw your motion.
So, do I just move to do that, or?
Just take your names away and we'll drop that resolution altogether. Right. Who wants your 3 options? Those in favour of option 1, GDL. Just before we do a vote, 3. Option 2 for the hairdressing business.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, can I just ask one question on that?
Yep.
It's got like 120 a week plus GST. No increases in all electrical costs, including the operation of the ATM. They actually offering to pay the electricity for the ATM, or are they asking us to pay for the electricity for the ATM?
Who says this?
To Mr. Mayor, may I address that?
Yeah.
They have offered, so it would be the 120 plus the electricity. They will pay the electricity costs. Those people actually ask what we pay for electricity, and there was too much information in their letter to put it all in this resolution, and it amounts to approximately $30 a week. So really that's another $30 onto there.
Reading, Mr. Mayor, and what about the ATM, Jenny? How much is that? Is that the other thing? Are they going to pay for the ATM as well?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, no, because the ATM runs off the electricity in that building, so they would pay,
So it would be an extra 30.
Yeah.
A couple of things about the building. I'm sorry, I should have asked before. The toilet facilities, they're public toilet facilities, are they? They are public toilet facilities. So whoever leases the building, have they got to clean those public facilities, or are they still public facilities? The council still clean those facilities?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there is actually a toilet inside the centre as well, yes. So so the centre has its own, that building will have its own toilet.
Thank you. Yeah. And there's a second question. The ATM is in a room, but it's got nothing to do with the rental part, or the rental part is a separate part of the building?
Through Mr. Mayor again, the access to the ATM is through their building, and it is a very large room, which consideration would be given, and everyone who has expressed an interest is aware that any alterations to the building at their cost, if they want to cut that room in half, because it is the whole length of that side, and all that's in there is the ATM.
One more, sorry.
You can have 5.
Yeah. At their cost, if they want to cut that building, that's a council building. That would have to go through a council approval and all that sort of stuff if they want to put a wall up there to take that off. It might be at their cost, but whatever they do in there it's a council building, isn't it?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, everyone has been advised that the building is to be restored to its original state once they finish in there, so it would be a temporary.
Councillor Henderson.
Through you, Mr Mayor, just with the information that I've just received, the actual price of GDL is 167 a week and the hairdresser is 162 a week. So there isn't a great deal of difference in income.
On the basis of
Then paying the electricity for the ATM.
the ATM.
Through you, Mr
I
Mayor,
missed that, how that was
Jenny,
figured out.
is everyone going to pay the electricity or only, like,
Through
Sorry,
you, through you, Mr Mayor, they are the only, the second expression of interest is the only one that inquired about that. No one else has.
so perhaps they just assume that if they're running the business, it's their electricity bill?
Yes.
Okay, anyways.
Yeah.
Should that be a point, councillors, that we clarify with the
Yeah.
people on the expressions of interest, because we're not really comparing apples with apples. One's volunteered, it doesn't mean that the others wouldn't offer it if
Or that they just
they would have had
assume.
transparency on it.
Or their assumption is that they pay the power. And this is what I said.
Councillors, I know there's movement towards making a decision, but is there a need to negotiate further here to clarify some of these points directly with the OIs, and we have a recommendation come from the CEO that we endorse? Who assesses them, brings it back, and if you still want to overrule that, it's your prerogative. We're aware of the leases, but let's just, the CEO to undertake more negotiation with these to ensure that we're dealing with apples with apples.
I'll take back what I said, Mr Mayor, I don't think we're getting fed the full information on that there, so I think
It's
we're
more
back
than
to
handy developed. That's to summarise it. I mean, I think it's the full information that we've got, in fairness, but we could negotiate further, so.
Mr Mayor, yeah, and my thinking was we've just leased 2 offices in the town hall for $12,000 a year. This building is substantially larger, high, great location. We shouldn't just be rushing in to accept an offer that's been made to us. We need to understand exactly,
But Mr Mayor, in saying that, we did go out to expressions of interest.
Correct.
Not that that's not negotiable.
Yeah, especially, I mean, if the office had to come back $2,000 a year, you wouldn't accept it just simply because we went, not a tender, it's only an EOI.
Yeah.
Or even on a tender, we wouldn't need to accept it.
So, Mr Mayor, the CEO is going to negotiate on some of these figures here? Yep.
Further analyse it and present a recommendation to the next meeting.
I'm okay with that, we're going to move forward here.
Sorry, Deputy.
Well, it's going to delay it for another.
So we have back to the CEO.
Well, hang on, it's just been raised, councillor, so we're only going to delay the start here another month of whichever business gets it.
Through you, Mr Mayor, if we delegate the CEO now to formalise this, rather than bring it back to us, it could be dealt with in a
Fortnight. Right back where we started, about 20 minutes ago. Councillor People.
What my co-councillors are happy with that, I'll move that motion, Mr Mayor.
So that's a recommendation, so you're happy that, you're okay with it being delayed a month?
Yes.
Councillor, to second that then?
to delay a month, do this and delay a month.
Yeah.
That's taking all the pressure off, that's spreading the pressure around.
Through you, Mr Mayor. I guess no one spoke to them at length, did you? Are they in a hurry, like, or are they just?
Through you, Mr Mayor, of the 3 applicants that we've, expressions of interest that we had, I've actually only had contact with one of them, and it wasn't until they came to me when I put to the CEO and the Deputy CEO about leasing of that building to earn an income, and it is the second applicant there. I haven't spoken to any of the others, and it was then said that there had been people asking about it prior, and they have spoken to me at gate length. They went down, they inspected the building, and that's when I put it forward. Yes.
I had the GDL representative asking me about this 3 months ago. So it's, they've been looking at it and that, but getting back to this. So,
I'm waiting, councillors. I've just got a motion, but I don't have a seconder.
Yeah, I'll second it. We'll push it through and get that one.
Councillor Hanson, seconds. Still not sure I'm any closer to getting an outcome. Those in favour?
I may move that to
Throw it for a month.
sort of come up,
Against?
Oh, I missed it. I missed the call. Please?
It's getting late. It's been a long day, Mr Mayor.
You are telling me nothing. Start again. Those in favour? Against? 4-2. Carried.
Can I have that noted, please?
I'll actually ask for my name to be recorded with councillor.
Recorded is the word. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Sorry?
No, recorded is the word. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
And that, councillors, is the agenda.